Hello, friends, and welcome to yet another episode of Unfiltered Friends. And today we have on my friend Grace, and I've literally never heard someone with a more intense story. And one of the things that I really enjoy about letting these stories marinate? Is it marinate? Someone tell me. I think it's marinate. For a while is because the story kind of develops as it goes on. And since this podcast has gone live, Grace has listened to it multiple times. It helped her, and she ended up sending it to everyone in her family that we talk about in this episode, and it has since semi-resurrected the relationship with her mother and kind of gave her a voice, which is the whole purpose of this podcast. So shout out to Grace for having the courage to do that. Before we get into that episode, I want to thank the sponsors of the show, which is, of course, my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/supdaily. They show up for the live shows, so if you'd like to interact with any of these guests live, make sure you follow me there and on any social media, which is supdaily, so that you know when you can interact with these people. And then also, of course, my Patreon. Without you guys, over the years, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. So shout out to Terry Noseworthy, Charles Sipes, Lena, Carla, Raymond, James, Luke, Eric, Jonathan, Rachel, Paul, Frida, Nuno, Jenna, Gregory, Dono, Tracy, and Matilda. Thank you guys so much. If you would like to join up on Patreon and help support me in putting out these messages into the world, it's an independently funded thing. Twitch, nope. Yup, no. Patreon.com/unfilteredfriends. And let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Unfiltered Friends podcast. Before we introduce you to our next friend, I want you to take a moment to think about everything that led you to where you are right now. Do you see how strong you are? Do you see how great your story is? I hope you do, and I hope you learn great lessons and get inspired by our next friend's story on the Unfiltered Friends podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unfiltered Friends podcast, where we hear amazingly inspirational stories. This is this is inspirational, I promise you. It's also intense, which is okay. We don't mind intense because I feel like we don't talk about intense as a society because we're so afraid it might offend people. But this is a story that, like, as I heard it, I was
happy?
I was just blown away. So what I want to do here is pause that just to make sure that I have... So moderators, make sure that you are giving me an idea if something goes wrong, because I'm both the producer of this show and the host and the guy who gets the coffee and all that fun stuff. But without further ado, I want to introduce my friend Grace here. Say hello.
Hi.
But look at me.
Oh, hi.
Hey, look at me.
I wanted to see myself.
No. Is this talking to them?
Is this thing on?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I want you to focus on me for like 2 seconds.
Oh, I thought this was about me.
No, it's not.
Well,
So yeah, man, I mean, I've known you for a long period of time,
like 10 years.
but we didn't really interact.
Yeah, no, it was weird.
Okay, so why don't you tell them the story about how you met me.
We met at a karaoke bar.
Stay close to the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
So they can hear. It's ASMR. Think ASMR.
This is my first time. So we met at a karaoke bar in Burbank, California.
Yes.
Called Dimples, where I don't know if any of you have ever seen Saved by the Bell, but Mr. Belding used to go there all the time.
And he is
handsy.
He is a creep.
He's so handsy.
He is a creep.
Yeah.
I don't want to hate on Mr. Belding,
But you have to.
but like he was always at this bar. Always.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are wondering about Mr. Belding, if you see him at a bar, you should probably avoid him.
Yeah, I'd wear like high-waisted pants with a belt. For sure.
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure that would stop him.
It might not.
It sucks. I don't want to talk smack about Mr.
Okay,
Belding.
we won't. We'll stop.
But he was always there.
But it was a great bar.
Yeah, it was. No, it was that.
It was
that bar was. I'm glad it's
dirty.
gone. I'm glad it's
a
gone.
Whole Foods now, which is.
It's a Whole Foods.
It's wholesome. Yeah.
Whole Foods is not wholesome.
It's...
Whole Foods is capitalism. We don't like capitalism here. So yeah, we met 10 years ago at a bar, and at the time I was really interested in hanging out with you.
Mm-hmm. And I was there with an ex-boyfriend and a guy that I was trying to date.
Yeah. So, and I was there on a date with a girl. So
we were killing it.
Basically, we were both in great places to be trying to flirt with each other. But luckily for me,
I still did it.
Flirting with you is impossible. Well, not flirting, but actually meeting up with you, because you blew me off.
Several
times. I like to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not one of those dudes, and I'm sure you run into these types of guys where you they don't quite get the hint and they keep trying. I don't feel like that was me.
No.
No. Wait, was I?
I mean, you definitely like stopped talking to me afterwards, and then like 10 years later I'm like, hey, how are you?
You're right. So you lived in LA,
mm-hmm.
and then you moved away, mm-hmm. and I remember still trying to talk to you when you moved away, like
I moved to Seattle, and you like reached out, and I was like, I'm in Seattle.
Is that how you said it? You're like,
yeah. So I say a lot of things.
But a lot of things have happened.
Yeah. Before, during, after.
I don't like. I am honestly mystified at the fact that you are still a functioning human being on this planet.
So well functioning.
Let's cheers. So, I mean, I guess let's start at the beginning. So I went. What was interesting is I went at like kind of because we talked before this about just trying to get our like ducks in a row for what we're going to talk about today, because
it's very confusing.
It's very complicated. And I asked you about your childhood, and you said that you don't remember your childhood. How do you not remember your childhood?
It's actually a very bizarre thing. Like, I remember Christmas morning, and like that's it. Is really like all I remember is like every Christmas morning we had like this like huge thing that would go on, and like Santa, who still exists obviously.
Duh.
So Santa would like come, and like there was this like whole thing. There was always like a new animal and a guitar and like a paint set that I never used ever. And so
Why did you get a paint set? Did you ask for a paint set?
I'm not really sure. Probably.
I don't know why I'm asking you questions right now. You don't remember your childhood except for Christmas morning.
I don't remember.
But I thought maybe.
Sorry.
Yeah. Remember ASMR.
I'm so sorry.
So you don't remember your childhood, but you remember. Why do you remember Christmas morning?
I think it's because it was incredible. So it was one of those things where it was just a really good time in my life, whereas otherwise I feel like maybe there was some like weird trauma that I don't really recall, like maybe like parents fighting or whatever. I don't really know.
You say you remember you say your sister remembers your parents arguing a lot, but you don't remember it at all.
I don't even remember them being in the same room together.
See, I feel like that in itself could be damaging, because you get your idea of what a loving relationship looks like from your parents.
Which is probably why I'm not screwed up at all.
You know what? We're not broken. We're just bent a little bit. So Christmas morning, you apparently don't have a childhood. And then it's time for you to move. How old are you when your parents? Because your your parents were successful in some.
Yeah, so my dad worked in like the TV industry, so he did a lot of like he was like a prop master for a million shows. And my mom did catering, and then she opened her own business and became very successful with that. And so once she developed success, we moved into a bigger home. And once it became time to like move, sorry, am I too far away?
No.
Okay.
I'm just working on my posture.
Once it became time to move, I like meltdown, like straight up meltdown mode, like screamed through the house, kicked every box. It was just a ton of fun.
Well, what were you do you remember why you were having that reaction to moving?
I think it was because like that's just what I knew. Like all I knew was that home and that tree and that place and those Christmases. That's like all I knew. And so to change that was going to be really bizarre for me. I'm not good with change.
Yeah. Are you still not good with
I'm
change to this day?
I'm actually really good with change now. Like I prefer change over like stagnation.
It's interesting, that shift between the two.
It's very bizarre. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? That was a question. You don't know. And you know what? I think I don't know is 100% a fair. I think people are afraid of I don't know.
100%.
Because they feel like they have to please or have an answer for whomever comes to them.
Yeah, no, I have no idea.
No idea.
No clue.
But your reaction to the move, you became mean.
I was very mean, so I became like a bully at school, and I was just like a very mean person, and I would like act out, not necessarily like to my parents, but to like kids that I had grown up with. Like I had a brownie troop that like they were like, we don't want to be around Grace, like she sucks now. So
but your relationship with all those people previously was fine. And then
they were like my best friends.
Yeah, I think it's pretty honestly, like you hear about this all the time in schools where like children will act out when there's a disruption at home. Did your sister have the same reaction to it that you did?
She had a reaction to me more so than she had to like others around her. Like we became very distant as soon as we moved, and then after we moved my parents got divorced, and that created like a huge like wedge between the two of us. So
and you had a friend that you bullied pretty relentlessly.
My best friend Lauren. I'm so sorry, Lauren.
You hurt the ones that you love.
Like I was so mean. I was mean to her to the point where she didn't want to come back to school. Like her mom called my mom and was like, hey, Gracie's not being nice, and so we're pulling Lauren from school because she doesn't want to like be around Grace.
I mean, is that to me, like, because I was bullied relentlessly by lots of people growing up, and never at any point was my mother like, I'm gonna pull, like, what were you doing?
I think it was because we were like, I would go to her house every single weekend and we would hang out every single weekend, and then all of a sudden I was like her nemesis. I was so mean to the point where, I mean, I probably should have been kicked out of school. It was not nice.
Do you remember like an example?
Yeah, I like dumped food in her hair at lunch. Yeah, I'm not nice. Kind of an a-hole.
You're nice now, though.
I'm so nice now, and I apologized to her when I was 21.
How did that conversation go? I had fantasies as a kid that like my bully would, because I had several, at least one of them would apologize to me, and I would be able to like tell them off. But the bullies that I had are in jail, so they'd have to call collect, and I'm not accepting this charges.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah, that's good. Don't ever.
No.
No. So what I did is I reached out via, I think, Facebook, some sort of like social media outlet, and I wrote her this humongous letter of like, I'm so sorry. You know, I was going through and I can't even remember what I said, but it was just like a huge apology letter. And she wrote back to me and was like, I understand completely. Like, thank you so much for reaching out. And now we still talk.
I'm glad you guys are still friends.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still friends. We still talk every once in a while.
So I was talking about how my mother, her coping mechanism was like, because you said that you didn't really connect with what was going on in your household. Like, you didn't really pay attention to it
obviously.
too much. But what was your way of like if you weren't there, like mentally?
Yeah.
What did you do in order to? Because it seems like you were avoiding what was there.
Oh, so avoidant.
I feel like you probably saw what was going on,
but I never addressed it, and
you wanted to push it away because it's painful. So, like, what did you do?
I wrote a lot of weird poems as like a small child. In fact, I found a box of them like recently, and I was like, oh my god.
I wish I had known that before you came here, because
I would have brought them because they're good.
Reading that poetry,
god, they're so good.
Must be amazing.
It's so good. And like all the spelling is bad. It's all awful. It's So I wrote a lot.
I remember finding a journal from when I was like 10, and I said some awful things. Man, we're shitheads, and we at 10 years old. Mm-hmm. I didn't even go through any of the things that you went through, but I was just like, my parents wouldn't buy me this thing. Like, they're super cheap, but you know.
I didn't get a beeper this year for Christmas.
I did get a beeper.
Me too. Mine was see-through.
Mine was bright green, so that if I left it somewhere, which I always did, it'd be easier for me to find it. I still lost it, so that technique was not effective. Yeah. So we're at around 11 years old now.
Yep.
And this is when your parents divorced.
Yeah. Yep. They split, and I got my period in the same year.
I was saying, like, I feel like 11 is kind of young to have your period.
I don't really know, like, the correct age in which you become a woman.
Okay, I don't think there's a correct age.
Not really sure.
But I was saying there's, like, an average age.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. Do you know? Is it 13?
I feel like when you become a teenager, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have a period. And you know what? If I had a choice, I wouldn't have a period.
Yeah.
Because it sounds awful. I don't trust things that bleed for several days and don't die.
My dad told me that. As soon as I got my period, he was like, you can't trust anything that bleeds for 7 days and doesn't die.
I don't know if I want to have that in common with you.
And we have a great relationship.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to I'm going to take that out of my arsenal of things that I say, because but when you got divorced, you didn't, but your parents did. Mm-hmm. Both you and your sister, and you have your sister's younger.
Yeah,
yes?
She's 3 years younger.
You guys had different reactions.
Very, very different reactions. My sister gravitated towards my father, and I gravitated towards my mom, because in my eyes, because my dad left the home, like, he physically left where we all lived together. Like, he left us, in my mind.
Right.
Like, he's the one who, like, stepped out on us. When my sister was like, Dad had to leave because Mom kicked him out, so she, like, gravitated towards him, which caused huge rift between the two of us.
But did your mom kick him out? Do you know at this point? Or?
They say that it was like a mutual understanding between the two of them, and they kind of just, like, happily went their separate ways when... I don't really...
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
I mean, you were young, so, like, you're not supposed to be in the middle of that anyway, but
no, they should have pretended like everything was hunky-dory.
Right? But you ended up hating your dad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely despised him for years and years and years and years.
What's interesting is you would think that, like, the reason that you would hate your dad is because your mom trashed your father to you,
which she never did.
She
never said a single bad thing about my dad. In fact, like, she spoke very highly of my dad, and she would say things, along the lines of, he worked really hard for us to get to where we are, and he's such a great guy, and like, you need to spend time with him, he loves you. blah blah blah, dad stuff.
But your dad was the one that was.
But my dad talked a lot of smack about
So
my
like
mom.
I don't. I realize that we're all human and adults make mistakes and stuff like that. But like, man,
That's
like,
a huge mistake. To
yeah,
make.
because
That's a huge mistake.
like even like not quite the same thing, but like when I was going through issues with my last relationship, I didn't talk ill to any of our friends. I didn't talk ill to my parents
No, because that's the grown-up thing to do.
I don't want to ruin someone else's vision of them.
Yeah.
Because of something that happened between me and them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, my dad was very much, your mother's the devil. It was I mean, it was awful. He was so mean. And he created so many like traumatic memories for me because of the way he spoke about her. Yeah, it was awful. He was awful. We have a really good relationship now, which is actually the truth.
Is it?
Yeah.
How does that happen? Like what remedied you guys to the point where you could get over that traumatic past?
You know, I'm not really sure what it was that was the turning point, but at some point I was kind of sitting by myself in my room and I thought, I need to call my dad. And I hadn't called him I hadn't spoken to my father in 3 years. And I called him and I was like, I'm so sorry for like how I behaved, and he apologized for how he behaved, and now we're best buds.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's so cute.
Now, someone that you didn't have a beautiful relationship was with your sister, though, because you guys kind of picked
No,
sides.
she's still evil.
Oh.
Yeah, no, we don't talk, and like it's a very like it's not good.
I mean, do you have any like urge to like resurrect that relationship?
You know, I've tried several times, but she does this thing where she won't accept it. So in her eyes, because of all my health issues, which we will get to.
Yes. Yes, we will.
And because of my like, bringing up certain like family things.
Which we will talk about.
Jeez.
We haven't even like, you guys don't understand.
Barely surface level.
We have not even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We're only till 11 years old right now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
So she just like doesn't, like she won't speak. I just tried to call her to tell her that my mom's in the hospital. She didn't answer my phone call. She didn't read my text message. Like,
there's, by the way, just another like.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, my mom's in the hospital.
Oh, yeah. P.S. My mom's in the hospital as of this morning.
Yeah, it was like 30 minutes before I went live, and you're having a phone call that your mom has pancreatitis and is in the hospital.
Yeah. And she won't answer my phone call or call me back. So it's like just one of those things. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so much fun. I love
Now, you
it.
told me a story about your sister stabbing you?
Yeah, so we were, and it's the most dramatic thing you'll ever hear in your life. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So I was watching TV downstairs.
How dare you?
I know. And I had the remote control in my hand. And she grabbed the remote from me and was like, I'm going to watch whatever I want. And so I grabbed it back and I like ran. I was like, no, you're not. And so I ran. Mm-hmm. And she picked up a screwdriver, which I don't know why there was a screwdriver randomly sitting next to like our couch.
Maybe they were doing some sort of like.
A lot of construction. Yeah. Always.
Maybe.
And she chases me into my bedroom, and I'm like, haha, I have the screwdriver. And I'm like on my stomach, and she takes a screwdriver and like stabs me in the back and like drags it down my back. Yeah.
Okay, like the stab, that sucks, but stab and drag is
it was a good old really stab and drag. Yeah.
Do you have like a scar from it?
I did. I used to. I don't know if it's still. I don't look at my back a lot, but it might be there.
Me either. It's probably not that cute.
I don't really know if it's still there, but I got like 2 stitches from it, which isn't a lot.
Was there any sort of like
reconciliation?
No. Like, did you tell on her or?
Hell no. She's scary.
Oh.
Yeah, no. I just had our nanny take me to the hospital. I was bleeding.
Did your parents not find out about it?
No, I didn't tell them until like.
How do you go to the hospital? Later. Okay, so they did find out eventually.
Yeah, Eventually.
And what did they say?
Nothing. They didn't really they were like, but Grace, you shouldn't, antagonize your sister.
Be careful. Your sister's gonna...
She's crazy.
She's gonna stab you. Stab and drag.
Yeah.
That's good old stab and drag.
Yeah. So, there was no, she didn't get in trouble. Nothing. And I was such a sweet, innocent person.
You know what? Maybe you were. I'm not I'm sure you were doing something at that point in time.
I mean, probably. But I don't remember.
But you don't remember your childhood. How convenient.
No. It works well for me, so we'll take it.
So your relationship with your father at this point is super strained. Mm-hmm. And you would go hang out with him during the summers.
During the summer times.
Which you hated.
Which I hated so much. I threatened to call CPS on him for no reason at all. I gave myself a bruise on my arm and said, it was bad.
That's really messed up.
I know, but I really hated him for some reason. I really did.
It seems like you felt abandoned by him.
I did, yeah. I guess, I felt abandoned, and I didn't like the way he spoke about my mother.
Right.
So.
I mean, yeah. It's kind of like if I went to you and was saying awful things about your best friend. Not that your mom was your best friend, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Someone that you care about in your life. Usually that conversation is not going to go well, but ultimately you should be the adult.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It was very bizarre.
Not everyone's meant to be a parent.
It's true.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I agree.
I
agree.
So, but you noticed that there was not a lot of effort on your, because you said later you reached out to him, but it seems there was not much effort on his part.
He never really tried to make things work. In fact, he tried to make things worse in my mind. The more I retaliated, the more he was like, your mom's the worst and you look just like her. It was one of those things where it was you're just like your mother and I hate her. So
it was almost like you were just a representation of her. And
yeah, and which is, I look just like my mother. We're identical twins. So he would always say something along the lines of, you're fat just like your mom, or you're ugly just like your mom. Yeah, it was bad. It was so bad.
How do you say that to your own child?
I don't know. Probably with just your mouth.
And your hatred.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We're laughing right now, and this is one of the things that, with you, you've been through so much, and you still laugh. And
you have to. You have to.
What's the other option?
Cry,
I guess?
And I'm an ugly crier. So.
But there's always a good ugly cry is okay every once in a while.
I do it solo though.
Oh. Okay, so you're with your. So let's move forward.
Yeah.
Your mom meets a guy.
She sure does.
I'm sorry. She sure does.
She sure does.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, so she meets this guy. First, okay, but before this guy, she met another guy. His name was Chris, and he made...
Was awesome because his name is Chris?
No. No, he made her buy him a plane, an airplane.
Wait.
I know, so random, so weird. And it fits nowhere in this story, but I just wanted to say it because it's crazy. She bought an airplane for this guy that she dated for 3 months.
Your mom's got airplane money?
I mean, it was a really tiny airplane.
Hey, let's not be a size queen about this, okay?
Yeah, so she bought this guy an airplane, and then they broke up, and then my mom had to sell the airplane, whatever. Anyways, so then she meets my stepdad, and 6 months later, they're married. And
6 months?
Yeah, it was 6 months. But she didn't introduce him to us until 1 month before the wedding because she was afraid that my little sister would scare him off because she was crazy.
What would your little sister do that would scare a grown man off?
Oh, my sister's crazy. She's literally a crazy person. She screams always. She's always screaming. She hit my mom with the bedpost of her bed once. Yeah, shit's crazy. Can I say?
You can say
Sorry.
shit. It's fine.
Okay.
That's what I love about the podcast platform is that you
Okay.
could say pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah. So yeah, she hit my mom with the bedpost while my mom's boyfriend, who is now my stepfather, was there, and my stepdad like lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like she was very terrified that Hannah would scare him away, which is, you know, justifiable because she's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, they're married now. 15 years later.
Yeah, no, it's a great love story.
Yeah. Love is lit.
So they get married. What's your relationship like with your now stepfather?
So at that point in time, I loved him. He was the polar opposite of who my dad was. And so I like lived for that relationship. I loved it. I thought he was great. I didn't believe in anything that he believed in at all because he's very like right-wing conservative, whereas my dad is like the most liberal human being you've ever met in your entire life. And but because he was so polar opposite of my dad, I like clung to that, and I like, craved that.
Because to me, like from knowing you, like you don't strike me as super right wing.
No, I'm definitely not. But for some reason, because it was so different from what I was used to, I like needed it.
So it really had less to do with
Him.
him being him, but him not being
Precisely.
your dad.
He was not my dad, and that's what I needed at that point. So
now,
let's get to the good
oh
stuff.
my lord,
Chris.
I don't want. So make
I'm
sure
gonna
you
turn red.
face the microphone.
I'm gonna turn red.
Turn the chair and face the microphone. Can you lift your chair up a little bit too?
Oh my god.
Because you're short. We're trying to work this out here.
I'm not that short though.
You're short enough.
Where's the thing?
It's on the side. It's hiding from you. Working out the technical difficulties,
It's cool.
folks.
Everybody's fine.
Let's see. Here we go. See, now you're more... Here we go.
This is fine.
Yeah, just make sure you're facing the microphone so that we pick up your audio well.
Okay.
Okay, so
The good stuff.
your stepfather already had
2 sons.
2 sons
Yep.
who became your stepbrothers.
You sure did. Within 6 months.
How? And they moved in.
So the youngest one moved in probably 5 months after they were married.
Mm-hmm.
So he moved in 5 months after they were married, but the first time I ever met my stepbrother was the first time he ever came on to me, which was weird.
Yeah. Did he just come on to you, or?
So it's so bizarre. So we visited, my stepdad was living in Kansas City at the time. And so we went out to visit him, and my mom was like, I'm not bringing your sister, but you can come because she's crazy and you're not as crazy. So you can come out and meet. So I go out there and we're like making brownies, and my stepdad's like, oh my God, you guys are getting along so well. And like, I was like, this is great. Like, I can hang out with this person. He's kind of close in age to me. Like, so I thought it was kind of cool. Like, he's going to have older guy friends and I'm going to date them, which didn't work out.
Yeah.
But then that night we like go to bed and everybody goes to bed, and he's like, do you want to stay up and watch a movie? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is innocent enough. Like, he's going to be my brother,
Right.
you know? So we go to like watch a movie, and I'm on the couch and he's on the chair, and he like gets up and he goes into the kitchen, and then he like kind of like comes over the couch and he's like sitting on the couch with me, and I'm like, oh, this is a little weird. Like, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Right.
So I like do the whole like, I'm gonna curl up in the fetal position in the corner of the couch so that like nothing like weird can be insinuated.
Right.
And he like gets closer to me, gets closer to me, and at that point he's like trying to like pull my pants off, And I mean, this is the first time I met this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be my brother in a month.
Right.
Like,
so, I mean, you wouldn't have thought that will be something
never.
that
Like,
you
never
have to
in a
think
million
about.
years would I think that somebody that I was inviting in my life to be, like, a brother figure who was supposed to be, like, your protector and somebody that you're safe around would ever, like, do this. So I, at that point, like, got up from the couch and, like, went into the bedroom and was like, I'm done. Like, I can't do this.
So
and
did you like vocalize no to him, or did you just kind of like,
I just left.
You just left.
Yeah. I'm not very good at saying I'm uncomfortable or like saying no.
That's like people talk about fight and flight, but they don't talk about freeze.
Yeah.
Those are,
and I am a freezer.
Yeah.
Big time.
I've been in the situation where I froze as well.
Yeah.
So like, I think your reaction is totally understandable, especially because you're in shock. You're like, why am I having this
it was
situation
very
with
bizarre.
Someone who's supposed to be a part of my family?
Yeah. And that was the thing is I'm inviting you into my life to be my protector.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're supposed to be my older brother. Come on.
Right.
Like, come on.
But you got out of the situation.
Yeah, so I got out of the situation, and then, we go to Vegas, my parents get married, nothing happens, and then he moves in with us, like, a couple months after he graduates high school, and that's when, like, everything goes south. It's
right.
like, he's, like, sneaking into my room in the middle of the night, and he's, like, doing all of these really incredible things that you would want your brother to do.
Just say what he did.
So he would, I would be asleep normally, and he would come in and he would, get in bed with me. And I mean, several times I would wake up with him on top of me and he would just continuously pin me down, and continuously I'd be like frozen, but in a state of like clenched up, like, please don't touch me, please don't touch me, please don't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've only said no like 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I just like would freeze and like close my eyes and hope that it wasn't really happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of like how it all went down. But he ended up raping me 4 times in my bedroom while my parents were upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the times, like, I was just like, no. But for the most part, yeah, he got away with it.
But you brought it up to your family at that point in time?
So I did eventually. So it started, I was 15 when it started. And at the age of 17, I brought it up.
Mm-hmm. And what was the reaction when you brought it up?
They were like, well, you must have seduced him.
Oh, God.
Obviously, this is your fault.
It's just an unbelievable answer. Like,
yeah.
How does that, like, yes, I'm like a penis whisperer or something like that. I just called to him and I was scrunched up into a ball because I really wanted it.
It's like, I had braces. I'm not cute. Like, and it blew my mind that they were like, hey, this is on you. This is on you. Like, you shouldn't have worn those shorts to soccer practice. You shouldn't have, like, come home and put your pajamas on. You should have locked your door. Where it's like, for years I begged for a lock on my door. Like, put a lock on my door. And they were like, no, you're dating somebody, so we want to make sure that you don't have him over. Like,
really, I'm trying to protect myself from my stepbrother.
From my brother.
Yeah.
From my freaking brother.
You can say fucking brother.
Okay. Like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
It seemed like from what you described that they were less concerned with what you said and more concerned with interrupting the family dynamic.
Yeah, and that was the thing is, with all of that came, turmoil between my mom and my stepdad. And that's where it was a huge no-no. Like, Grace, I can't believe you would bring this up and, try and rock the family boat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how dare you?
And you would hope in that moment that at least your mother would advocate for you.
And the thing is like, she is also a sexual assault victim. Like, she was molested from the time that she was like 5 until she was 15 by the same person. So, like, you would think that I would have some sort of like advocate in my corner, and I didn't.
No.
She was more concerned with the fact that she had finally met the love of her life, and she didn't want to ruin that. And
But in the process, she was willing to ruin her daughter.
yeah. And then I was forced to, you know, so I just, you know, for a year we did everything separately. Like, birthdays were separate, everything was separate. And then it became a thing where they would say, we just would love to have the family back together again. Like, we would just, if you guys could, like...
And I would love not to get raped by my brother. Like,
and so I asked my mom, I was like, well, do you want me to call the person who molested you and invite him over for Thanksgiving? Because I can. We can. It'll be a really fun family thing.
It got snarky and tense like that.
Oh, of
with
course.
her. Yeah, because you're unheard.
I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You of all people who have been through something like this, like, you of all people should know that this is not okay. This is something that should be addressed. This is something that can't just like be like pushed under the rug. You should know. And she didn't. She chose.
Well, I think that she did, and I just think that she was more concerned with her love life than your well-being.
Yeah, and I think she's still more concerned with that to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
So the rapes happened between 15 and like 18, essentially.
Yeah.
And then at 18, you moved out of the house.
I did.
How was that?
It was the best.
You
I
know?
loved it so much. Like, being on my own was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I got to sleep with my bedroom door unlocked, which was so
like, this
fun.
shouldn't be like, this shouldn't be like
I slept with it open for the first time.
you should be able to do that your entire life.
I know, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to sleep with it open, which was really, really cool.
Did you walk around naked all the time?
I mean, duh.
Duh. Poop with the door open?
Obviously.
Girls don't poop.
I mean,
Tricked you.
we do.
No, you don't. Nope. Girls don't poop.
So much, like once a day.
No. You guys fart rainbows, right? Mm-mm. It's not farting, though. It's
No,
just...
it's real farts.
Ew.
It's real farts.
Ew. So you're on your own. What do you, like... How do you move on from everything that you just went through? Like, are you even thinking about that? Are you, like, what are you doing with this time that you have to yourself now?
Yeah, so the weird thing is like, I still thought about it all the time. Like, I thought about it all the time, and it was something that always, like, replayed in my mind constantly. And then, like, after I moved, so I was still technically in high school when I, like, got my first place. And then after high school, I was awarded a cruise.
Oh. You were awarded a cruise?
Yeah, because I graduated high school, so my mom was like,
so your family
here you go on a cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went on a cruise, and I was raped on the cruise.
Okay, you just, like, this is, like...
Sorry.
You said it so casually, and, like, to me, it's like, oh, yeah, just I was raped on the cruise.
I mean, for me, at this point, it is...
You've had
it's
it
not like
happen
a
for so
casual
long.
thing, but it's definitely, like, a very, like, casual thing.
Right, so who was this dude? Like,
His name was Joel.
Okay, first of all, do we trust anyone named Joel?
No.
No.
Unless their last name's Joel and their first name's Billy.
Billy, okay. I'm with you on that one. So some random dude from the cruise. How does this go down?
I was roofied at a piano bar. Yeah, so I was roofied at a piano bar. I was with one of my best friends at the time. And she really wanted to sleep with Joel's friend, which I don't remember his name. But I was like, no, I want to go back to the room. Like, I want to go back to the room. So I have a feeling maybe she played, like, a tiny little part in the roofing situation.
In the roofing?
Yeah, because she was kind of a slutty magooty. So she was like, I just want to get laid, da-da-da-da. And I was like, I don't. Like, I have a boyfriend. Like, I just want to go home and go to bed. Like, I just want to go to sleep.
And you started dating this boyfriend
When I was a freshman.
When you were
in
like,
high school.
So when you were 15.
Yeah.
And he didn't know anything
He didn't
about
know any of this. He knew nothing about my stepbrother. Like, nothing. Because I was...
Because
like,
you tried to talk about it and nobody, you felt like no one
nobody
cared.
was listening. Nobody cared. Like, it was always my fault. So, like, why would I bring it up?
Right.
So I didn't.
So, okay. You hear about people getting roofied. Mm-hmm. But I have no experience with this. So can you describe what it feels like when you are under the influence of roofies?
Yeah, so the first time I was roofied,
oh my God,
which there's been 4 times.
Yeah.
The first time I was roofied, it was very much like going under anesthetic. Mm-hmm. Like you like count backwards from 10 and then like you don't really like remember anything. Mm-hmm. But I do remember exactly what he was wearing. He was wearing a blue deep V-neck from Urban Outfitters. Remember when like Urban had those like really deep V's?
It would go to like your belly button.
Yeah, so he was wearing one of those and gray denim. And so I remember like looking at him and looking at my best friend and being like, I don't really feel well. And that's like kind of my last. And then I came to like in the middle of intercourse, rape, whatever. Not consensual. So I guess came to in the middle of rape. And looking over at my friend, and she's like having the time of her life.
So she's in the room with you.
Yeah.
While this is going on.
So I'm on the couch, like lifeless, and she's on the bed with the other guy, like having sex with him. And I remember her like shadow, like her silhouette in the window of her like riding this guy. And I'm thinking like, how do I get out of this? I can't even move. Like I can't move my body. I can't.
So you're conscious, but you can't move.
Yeah.
Can you feel?
I felt like pain sometimes, and then I feel like I would like drift off into like unconsciousness again. So it was almost like I was like coming to and then blacking out and then coming to and then blacking out. It was very bizarre.
And like at any point did you think about reporting this to somebody?
No. Who would believe me? I was drinking at a piano bar. Like, who would believe me? Like, they'd be like, you're just a drunk girl. Who?
I think because of your previous experience of no one listening to you, that's how you felt. But I bet you someone would have believed you. But like after, like, because I've told a story on my YouTube channel where I was raped by a woman in college. Yeah. And I went to the police to report it, and I got laughed out of the police station. Yeah. So after that, you don't want to talk about it anymore. No. Even if it happens again. Yeah. Because you don't feel like anybody cares.
No. And they don't really believe you.
Right.
Like, and I don't know if they care or not, but they definitely don't believe that it was not consensual. Yeah. Especially if you say, yes, I was drinking. Like, at that point, I think it, like, does something else to their brains where they think something along the lines of, well, she was drunk and she just doesn't want to admit that she, like, wanted to sleep with this guy.
I hope at this point that it's better for people when they go to report stuff like this.
I hope so, too, but in my experience, it ain't.
Yeah.
So
you it's so hard to know like where to go with this story. Like I actually like you like we were kind of working through what this story was, and I went and had to lay down. I was like, okay, before we go through this again, I need to lay down, so I can't even imagine how it is for you.
Strangely enough for me, it's like very like nonchalant, like
because it's your reality.
Yeah, I have to I live with it every single day, so it's just something that I deal with.
So, you get back from the cruise.
Mm-hmm. I get back from the cruise, and at that point, I was like, I had been dating this kid for what felt like forever. It was, 4 years. 4 years.
I'm going to keep you on this microphone.
I know, sorry. So I had been dating this kid for 4 years, and I tell him, I was like, listen, something happened. And he's like, did you cheat on me? And I was like, no, I was roofied and raped. And he was like, no, you weren't. You cheated. I can't believe you cheated on me. You're such a slut. Da, 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 da. So, I mean, what do you do at that point? You are trying to like confide in somebody that you love and you trust and you cherish and bull.
But they don't cherish you.
Yeah. So.
But he had cheated on you, right?
Several times. So it was like his like, oh, she also cheated.
So like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like it's
like I've done no wrong.
I just don't understand how you could look at someone that you care about and hear that story and be like, yeah, you cheated on me. You're full of it.
Yeah, I don't either. But it
you're
happened.
You're not with that guy anymore.
No, but I did date him for a couple more years after that. 3 years, 18 to 21.
Right.
Yeah.
So this brings you to 21, and you go on a vacation with your family to Hawaii.
I sure do. And the same thing happens. So I had agreed to allowing like family vacation and like family time again because every day I was pressured with it. They were like, when can we be a family again? And I was like, I don't know, as soon as he stops raping people. That'd be great. So we go on a family vacation to Hawaii, and it happens again. The whole family's drinking, and I go up to my room, and I fall asleep, and I wake up to him on top of me, which here I am again in the same situation that I was in when I was 15, and I don't feel like I can tell anyone.
Right.
Like, I can't say anything. So what do? I don't say anything.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I mean, if you feel like you have no recourse,
yeah,
like, and that all it's going to do is have people get after you for speaking up. Like,
yeah.
why would you?
Yeah.
You know, like that just doesn't seem like a viable option for you at that time.
Yeah. So I kept it to myself yet again, and almost every night that we were on that vacation, which lasted 10 days, he would come into my bedroom and he would like try things, and I would stay up late at night just so I could walk out of the room like when he was coming in. Like this happened every night for 10 days that we were on a family vacation where our parents are 2 rooms down and my sister is 1 room down, and like the whole fucking family's there.
But like why would he care if they're there?
He doesn't.
You do that and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And that's why I always encourage people, understanding how hard it is to speak out, to always speak out, because if there's no repercussions, I think the percentage is like 2%. Only 2% of people who commit rape actually see jail time.
That's ridiculous.
Well, most people don't report it.
Well, and the thing is like I tried to report it, and they were like, "Well, there's no evidence." So
yeah, and that's the other thing.
He said, she said.
You have to have physical evidence, and that's why people who falsely report rape are so damaging.
Yeah.
Because it just makes people not believe actual victims of those types of crimes.
Yeah.
But you do need physical evidence. We can't just say, "Oh, we believe you over this person," because that's not how the justice system
But in
works.
my mind, I'm thinking, like, how is it possible for me to get physical evidence? Like, how can I possibly get physical evidence?
You'd have to do it in that moment, like get a rape kit and stuff like that.
Which I couldn't even fit.
Right.
I was on a vacation,
right.
for God's sakes. Like, how could I mean, the nearest hospital was 2 hours away, first of all.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can I, like, it's not even possible.
Where do we go from here?
So yeah, we were in Hawaii, and I got raped several times, and it was.
And your mom didn't protect you.
No,
she would rather
disregarded it.
She would rather protect the current relationship that she had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, super.
So okay, let's move in a different direction. Not a fun direction, but
but still different.
Doesn't involve any of that. But so when you were 15. I'm assuming you were having pains from surrounding your period. Yeah.
I strangely had a lot of stomach pains starting when I was like 11. And I would go to the nurse's office, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's just part of being a woman." Like,
what is up with everyone just dismissing everything that no, it's not that. I know better about you than you do, so I'm gonna tell you what's going on with you.
So yeah, I was in the nurse's office almost every single day, like, of the month. It wasn't even when I was just having my period. It was just every single day the month I was like in excruciating pain. And so that lasted for like 3 years. And then when I was 15, I was at Venice Beach with my mom and my stepbrother, my other stepbrother, not the rapist, the other one, who was actually kind of funny. But
okay, good. At least you got one decent stepbrother.
So we were at Venice Beach with him. He was getting a tattoo, and I was like, emergency room now. Like, I'm dying. And I'm like crying in pain. I'm like screaming. I'm doubled over. I can't breathe. And we go to the emergency room, and they find a unknown mass on my right ovary, which is 10 centimeters big, which is like the size of a grape.
Is it that big? Is that 10 centimeters?
It was about this big. Yeah, this big.
Oh. And how big is your ovary?
This big.
Okay, so something that's basically 5 times the size of your ovary.
Yeah, it was enormous. And they're like, okay, so we have to do emergency surgery. Otherwise, she could, become septic.
Which you can die from.
Because a cyst that large can create torsion, which is where your fallopian tube like twists and it cuts off blood flow to your uterus, and then you die.
Okay, so excuse my ignorance, but like, so are your ovaries? Do they float?
Yeah,
like, what
so
are they like?
They're not attached to anything at all. But turns out mine were like embedded in the side of my abdomen because of something called endometriosis. So now
the hits just keep coming.
I was like, when it rains, it pours.
Right.
So they take out the cyst, and then they like find that I have severe, what they call level 4 endometriosis, which is invasive, like abnormal growth of the uterine lining outside of your uterus. And so it created this like weird pocket in which my ovaries lived inside my abdomen. So instead of floating, they like were embedded in my body.
So polycystic ovaries.
Yeah, polycystic ovaries. And then
endometriosis.
And they found interstitial cystitis.
Okay, I don't even, what is that?
So it's leaky bladder syndrome. So it's where if your bladder is full, even if it's not full, it bleeds basically. So it's just like continuously bleeding. Yeah, and that's really what it is.
How do you fix that?
No.
She says, no.
I take a pill every once in a while. I call it the Windex pill. It makes me pee blue. And then it's supposed to like coat the lining of my bladder. I don't know. It doesn't work.
So why are you taking it if it doesn't work?
Well, because it helps with the like bleeding itself, but it doesn't help with like the pain. So it helps with the fact that like it does coat the inside of my bladder every once in a while, but it doesn't like cure anything. So yeah, I was diagnosed with that when I was 15, and it's just been like a continuous, I think I've had 9 or 10 surgeries from like 15 to 24. Yeah, 9 or 10 surgeries between the ages of 15 to 24 to remove not only endometriosis but cysts, and they check on my bladder every once in a while. But
can you say the third thing that you had again?
Interstitial cystitis.
Interstitial
cystitis.
Cystitis.
Yeah. If you like Google it, it just says painful bladder syndrome.
And you're like, yeah, that's really all I have going on.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's all I'm feeling.
Yeah.
We've kind of skipped around a little bit here.
I mean, there's no way not to.
There's no way not to. Like, I was gonna do my best this whole time to like stay in chronological.
No, there's no way.
It's impossible.
It's totally impossible.
Okay, so that's all of your issues at that point in time.
At that point in time. At 15.
At
that was
15.
it. Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, they do like bladder installations, and you can like do surgeries where they remove the endo. Like the surgeries that I had, most of them were technically emergency surgery because the cysts were so big that they had to take them out. So everything was kind of like on emergency basis, basically. So yeah. So that was at 15. So from like 15 to 24, that was kind of that. And then at 24, I went to like a specialist, and he was like, "You're fucked."
Okay. So what the diagnosis of "you're fucked" means what?
The diagnosis of "you're fucked" means that so at that point, even if you took out my uterus, I would still have symptoms of endometriosis, and it wouldn't cure my interstitial cystitis.
So for most people, when you remove what?
The uterus?
When you remove the uterus, it
should help. Like, most people report that, like, when they wake up from their hysterectomy surgery, it's instant relief.
So you've had a hysterectomy.
I had a hysterectomy a year ago in February. Yeah, so a year ago in February, I had it's called a radical hysterectomy. So it's both ovaries, your cervix, and your uterus. So everything is gone. So unfortunately, I will not be reproducing. I'm sorry.
And like, there's gonna be people who are listening to this and listening to us laugh.
I know it's gonna be so. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Like, we'll get to that later. But like, if you don't have any humor about the stuff that you have going on in life, what's your other option? You just sit and wallow.
Cry. Ugh.
Right.
And like I said before, ugly crier. So it just wouldn't work for me.
But like, a good old ugly cry, like every once in a while.
Once in a while, I could like handle it, but it's not something I enjoy doing.
Okay, so let's go back to one of your douchebag boyfriends.
Which one?
The one that cheated on you and told you that you cheated on him.
Yeah.
So you said that he cheated on you with multiple people.
Yeah, several people beforehand, and then several people after.
Right.
Like after the I cheated on him situation. Yeah, those were air quotes for those of you just listening in your earphones.
And you said that several of the girls that he
reached out to you.
Yeah. Now, I'm always like kind of on the fence about this, where like I have women reach out to me and say, you know, I know that this is going on. Yeah. Should I reach out and tell? And I always kind of advise them like, maybe you shouldn't, because it's probably not going to go well for you.
I mean,
and how was your reaction?
It's tricky, because in hindsight, I appreciate what they were trying to do. Like, I get most of it wasn't vindictive, and it wasn't like, he's mine, bitch. It was more along the lines of like, listen, like, he slept with me and he didn't tell you about it, and he didn't tell me that you existed. So I'm just trying to like look out for you. And that's where a lot of the girls came from. So as a grown up, I see now like what they were trying to do, and I appreciate it a little more. Whereas when I was, 16, 17, I was like, fuck you, you're stupid. You just want my man. Which I should have given him to them.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But I think that somebody should say
in hindsight,
something.
Like, this is like, that was the best move, is to like inform you.
I would say so. So, if it were happening to me today, like, I would want somebody to reach out, and I would also reach out to somebody just to be like, hey, heads up, like, your man ain't acting right, or your woman ain't acting right, or whoever is not acting right. Like, they are not behaving in a way that says that they love you. So.
Okay. So how much longer after all of this stuff was going on did you remain in a relationship with this guy?
3 fantastic and magical years.
They sound magical. But are you the one that ended the relationship?
Yeah, I ended it. And
how did that go?
It was bad. I mean, it was, looking back, it's very funny, and no, it's not funny. It's sad, and I feel bad. But, like, I definitely ended it. And then he decided that after, like, 2 months of us not being together, he was going to take me on a hike up to the wisdom tree, or whatever it's called.
No, it's the wisdom tree. I love the wisdom tree.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, you're not a hiker.
I don't hike.
So you were with someone for 7 years that knows that doesn't know that you don't hike.
And he thought, like, after we broke up, like, the way to win me over was to take me on a hike? Okay, let's be real.
Yeah.
I hate hiking,
Right.
which Denver is the wrong city for me.
Yeah, you were in the wrong state for hating hiking.
Yeah.
Literally, everyone's dating profile is like, I love to hike, and here's my dog.
I know. And I'm like, no to your hike. I hate your hikes.
No.
So yeah, he takes me on a hike, and he also brings champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries.
Well, hold on, though. Like, first of all, it's an intense hike. That's like an intense hike. It's short, but it's intense.
Yeah.
And you're going to bring something that melts and something that's going to get warm.
I was miserable the whole time.
Right.
I was literally miserable. I was so mad at him. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I agreed to this shit.
Right.
But I did because he was like, I need like closure or whatever it is he needed. I was like willing to give it to him because after 7 years of being with somebody, I feel like I owed him that much. Like
But you know you didn't, right?
I know that now.
Yeah.
So I did the hike and we do the whole thing, and at the wisdom tree they have like a box of letters that people write to each other or whatever, and you can like write your own letter, and he's
Which,
like,
by the way, that's not really what people do at the wisdom tree. They don't
What do
write
they
letters
do?
to each other.
What are they, oh, I thought that was the whole point.
No, it's like it's the wisdom tree. You put inspirational messages for other people.
Oh, I was told that you write letters to each other.
Who told you that?
He did.
Imagine that.
Weird.
Yeah, he lied to you.
I can't but he lied? Oh my God.
You mean the guy that cheated on you multiple times and didn't believe you when you said you were raped would lie to you? Yeah, no. Wisdom
Yeah.
tree is for spreading wisdom, not writing notes to your boyfriend.
Oh, well, I wrote like a goodbye letter.
Right.
And he wrote like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. As he's like, so he tells me that we have to like sit facing like away from each other. So we're facing away from each other, and I'm like writing like, I'm so sorry that this has to be it, and this will be the last time you ever see me. And
It's just like, how is there that much of a disconnect between two people?
I don't understand.
You guys are
I
broken
literally
up.
don't understand.
You don't like hiking. You don't like
I hate chocolate-covered strawberries. Like,
and he thinks that is the time to propose to you?
yeah. So we're facing away from each other, and I turn around, and I'm like, my letter's done, and he's down on one knee, and he has the ring in his hand, and he's like, will you spend the rest of your life with me? And I was like,
Oh, there's no one
did you
option?
want to read my letter? Because it says here, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to do that, but I will take that champagne bottle and walk down the mountain by myself.
But did you take the champagne bottle?
Yeah, and I walked down the mountain by myself.
That's amazing.
I felt really good about it, too.
Yeah. Did you get a little buzz on the way down?
Yeah.
You probably needed to medicate a little bit.
Like, listen. I'm
Listen.
going to need something to help me with this.
So that's over.
Super over.
Have you had any contact with him since then?
Actually, strangely, he reached out to me. God, I think it was like 4 years ago. He reached out to me and was like, I miss you. I'm engaged.
Okay, I understand I miss you. But, like, why I miss you, I mean...
It was very
Who
bizarre.
is this person?
He's very peculiar.
Yeah, you make some choices.
I mean, I make a lot of choices. A lot of them are wrong.
But you know what? You're still here.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Might have a concussion, but that's another story.
I want to use that line from I miss you, I'm engaged.
I miss you.
And what
I'm
were you supposed to be like?
engaged.
Swoon, yes, you're
I
perfect.
was like, sweep me off my feet, would you?
Out of control.
Yeah.
Wait, so how old are you at this point?
Okay, so I was 20. God, how old am I now? I'm
29.
29. So I was 26. I
Oh.
was 25 or 26 when you reached out to me.
But when you broke up,
Oh, when we broke up, I was 21.
where am I? When do you meet me in all of this?
At 21.
At 21.
Yeah, so
was
at
it
21.
before or after this situation?
So it was after we broke up, but before he proposed. I met you.
Yeah. And so I know we talked briefly about the fact that you that we met just like one time at a karaoke bar,
Yeah.
and I tried to talk to you many times after that.
And I just
but
was engaged in douchery.
Right.
Yeah.
And you, I mean, when you reached out to me recently, when we reconnected here, you kind of apologized for being a douchebag at that stage in your life.
Yeah.
Because
I was a douchebag.
But I mean, like,
let's be real.
Yeah.
Just say it. Just
like,
Chris, just say it.
You were a douchebag. Oh my God. Like, I'm just like, but you know what? Like, you have every right to not want to hang out with me, especially with everything that you were going through. You know, like,
but I didn't have the right to be an asshole.
You weren't an asshole. You just kind of strung me along because you'd flirt with me and then I'd respond to it.
That's being an asshole, I think.
Yeah, but look, like, yes.
But I recognize it is the thing.
Yes.
And that's the thing with me is like, and hindsight is always 20/20. And for me, it's like if I see that I've done something wrong and I can like reconnect with somebody and apologize for my behavior, then I will. Because I don't want anybody to like leave me thinking that I am a bad person, because I'm not a bad person. I'm really not. I'm a good person. I just have done shitty things, you know?
But I think
But I've been through shit that have caused me to do shit. I don't know.
You have been through... I think anybody listening to this right now is already just like...
What? Say what?
And we're not even
there yet.
We're not even there yet, which is like the fact that, and that's what makes your story so inspirational to me and probably a lot of other people, is that you've been through some more than most people, and you still maintain a sense of humor about things for the most part, right?
Yeah, I definitely like.
I will make you ASMR the shit out of this microphone until you understand that this is where the people are.
I'm sorry. I don't understand. I've never done this before. No, I definitely...
I met you at a karaoke bar. You understand how microphones work.
I didn't do karaoke.
Why are we fighting?
Is this our first fight?
No.
No.
No. We had fights many years ago.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Okay, so you end that relationship. Mm-hmm. And at what point do you leave Los Angeles? Because you left.
Yeah, I left LA. So I actually owned a clothing store from the time that I was 20.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that because...
That your girlfriend liked to shop at.
My girlfriend at the time... Yeah, we're not going to talk about her. Well, we will talk about her. But yeah, you owned the store that my girlfriend later on... I wasn't talking to you while I had a girlfriend.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't cheat. It was the store that she like exclusively shopped at.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that's so exciting to
me. So yeah, I owned that store for a little while, and then we closed it. I think I was 22. I think I was 22 when we closed it. So I owned it from the time that I had just turned 20. I might have been still 19. So we owned it from when I was like 19 and a half until I was 22 and a half ish. And then I moved to Seattle for 3 months. And
wait, why Seattle of all places?
My best friend, Kelsey, she was from there, and we met because she worked for me. So we met because she worked for me, and when I closed the store, she was like, I think I'm just going to go back to Seattle. And I was like, I'm going to come with you. Not that you invited me, but I needed an escape. I needed an out, and that was my out. So I moved up there, and I moved in with her now husband's little brother. So we so we dated.
Everything was consensual with this person?
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. It was one of those relationships.
It was about time, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus. I thought you were about to drop another one.
Right, I know. So yeah, I moved out there to be with him and her, and I was there for 3 months, did a ton of drugs, and drank a lot of alcohol.
Do you feel like you were just like coping with everything that had happened?
Yeah. And I was in the emergency room all the time for pain, and I got these really permanent, humongous tattoos on my body.
Do you regret your tattoos?
Here's the thing. I don't regret them because I think they represent a part of my life that is very important. Like when I was in Seattle, did I do a lot of things that I regret? Yes, I did. A ton of drugs, drank way too much.
What kind of drugs are we talking?
I mean, I did a ton of coke. I never did heroin.
Well, good for you. I'm really proud of you.
But I did like more coke than anybody should ever do ever in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would wake up, do a line of coke, I would drink like Jack Daniels for breakfast, and I would just like carry on my day.
Was anybody in your life making comment on this?
No. No.
What's up with your friends?
I don't know.
If I saw my friend constantly doing look, I don't hate on people for doing drugs, but if you wake up, do coke and drink,
I hid it from my best friend.
Oh.
So I hid it.
How do you hide that?
I don't really know.
I just did.
But I did. I did do that. So yeah, I hid it from her, and I'm sorry, Kelsey, but I lied to you a lot. I lied to her all the time. Like I was like, no, I'm not strung out. No, I didn't do coke last night. No, I am not drinking. So yeah. So that all happened, and so no, I don't regret these because I think they represent a really important part of my life.
Do you want to show people your tats?
Yeah. How do I?
Right there. Okay, so you've got the gun.
Oh, you want to see my muscles?
Oh my God, look at those muscles! Wow.
Those are
Okay,
chemo
so
muscles.
you have a pistol on the that's a revolver.
Yeah.
With stars and a red circle.
I don't.
What does it mean?
Here's the thing. I was incredibly high when I did this. So I got both of these done within the same like 12 hours.
And then the other one is like skeletons. Like
I actually really like this one because
ribs
to
and
me
flowers.
it like represents like inner beauty. So it's like a skeleton with like a flower on the inside and then a butterfly on the. I don't know.
Is there like meaning or?
This one actually does mean something to me. This one like represents the fact that like on the inside we can all be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, that is very important. Like it doesn't have anything to do with like outer beauty. It depends on like who you are on the inside. So that's what that one means. The gun was just like a.
That's a pretty big.
I was just like, hey, I'm just gonna get a fucking.
You have a little
gun.
heart.
Oh, these I've had forever.
2 heart. Oh,
yeah.
It makes a heart.
So they make one heart.
Okay.
So it's 2 hearts to make one. And then I have the Ohm symbol was my very first one. So I used to struggle with migraines. And this was like.
Does that work? Saying home?
No, that doesn't work.
Oh.
But this pressure point works.
Oh, so you press there when you have a migraine?
Yeah.
Can you show people?
Yeah. Yes. So it's. I don't even know where the camera is.
It's right there. Just you can see yourself right there.
Oh.
Your camera's here.
Oh, okay. So it's right here.
So you'd have a migraine and then you press there and it relieves the migraine?
So that's like, well, it would help a little bit. Because this pressure point is supposed to help with like headaches and stuff. But so yeah.
Oh.
And then I have my best friend's name tattooed on me because she.
Kelk.
Yeah, that's her nickname.
Okay.
And then I have the anchor above, which is a matching tattoo with her husband.
And you also just have casual hospital bracelets, which we will get to.
Yeah, I like sympathy.
We get it. You go to hospitals, like. And by the way, anyone who's insulted by what I just said, like anyone who's been around anyone that has consistent stays in the hospital, the best thing you can do is treat them like anybody
Just
else.
laugh with me.
Because if you treat them like they're a dead person or like they're not able to function on their own, it just reminds them of exactly what they're going through.
Yeah. Then they won't talk to you.
Right. Like I remember I was talking with my friend Lindsay, who has stage 4 colon cancer, and she said that everybody was treating her like she was already dead.
Yeah.
Which even stage 4 colon cancer is manageable. She got diagnosed stage 4 like 3 years ago, and she's still killing it or whatever. Yeah. And
don't say killing
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, say something else. Like she's still crushing life.
She's still killing it. Whatever. So, I would walk up to her, and like even if we were in public, I'd be like, "Oh my God, girl, you looking so skinny. What's your secret?"
That chemo
She's
diet.
like, "I got that chemo body." I was like, "Ooh, girl, what you got?" She's like, "I got ass cancer." I was like, "Ooh, I need to get skinny. I want some ass cancer." And you know what? people around her would be mortified. She's losing her mind laughing. So just a heads up to anybody, like, if the person with the affliction is laughing, you don't need to be mortified for them. They're having a good time.
It's the best medicine. It really is. Like, you could prescribe me anything, but, like, laughter is, like, the only thing that actually helps.
Right.
So.
Which is why you laugh a lot.
Which is why I'm so funny.
Okay. What were we talking about?
Me.
Well, yeah, I know that. What about you?
I don't remember.
Okay, we'll just... I have chemo. Oh, you were mugged?
Yeah, I was mugged in Seattle at knife point.
At this point, like, you can't help but laugh because holy shit, how many...
I know, how many things can I be hit with,
can
right?
one person go through?
Yeah.
It's like the list of the most awful things.
Yeah.
Which we're not...
And I'm like, check.
We're not even done.
Check. Check.
Why am I a snorter now? I don't understand what is happening. So
yeah, I was mugged at knife point in
for
Seattle.
what?
I don't know, because I didn't have any money.
But they didn't know that.
Yeah, they didn't know that. So I was at a bar and I was drinking, obviously excessively, and it was like way too much. And the guy that I was living with, who is my best friend's husband's brother, he lived right around the corner from that bar. And so I was like, oh, I'll just walk home. This will be fine. Like, I'm totally fine. I've done this a million times. Like, I'm just going to walk home. And I remember sitting with this kid, and he was like, do you want me to walk you home? And I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, I've got this. Like, it's not a big deal. I do this all the time. And so I, like, stumble out of the bar. And I remember now, the guy who mugged me, he was sitting at the end of the bar. And he was, like, watching me the whole night. And he, like, saw that I wasn't going home with anybody. And so he, like, followed me to, like, there was a weird alley between the bar and where the guy that I lived with at the time was living. And he, like, pushed me up against the chain link fence. And somehow his wrist fit in between, like, the chain link fence, and his, like, knife was, like, up against my throat as I was, like, pressed faced up against the chain link fence. And I was like, you can have anything you want. He's like, I just want you and your money. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but you can have my money. I've got like $12, so
you're welcome.
So you can have it. And at that point I'm thinking, like, oh my god, I'm gonna get raped again. Like, here we go again. But he didn't rape me.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So, which was thank you so much.
Thank you. I win. I win.
Thank you so much. So yeah, he took my wallet, he took my phone, he took everything. The guy that I was dating, he was a bartender, so he didn't get home till like 4 a.m. And so he comes home and his front door is wide open. There's blood everywhere. And I am like face down on his kitchen floor. And he's like, what the fuck happened? And he, like, blamed me. He was like,
oh my god,
I know.
How does this keep happening?
I don't know.
You have shitty people in your life.
I know.
He blamed you for getting mugged.
Yeah, so he blamed me. He's like, you shouldn't have gone home drunk. You should have just let somebody walk you home. You know, I can't believe you don't have your phone.
I'm about to stab somebody. What the fuck?
Yeah, so...
That's, like, unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
That someone would look at someone who just got stabbed.
Yeah.
And was like, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you could have made a better choice.
I mean, I could have done a few things differently.
But you're not the one that made that person grab a knife and follow you and put it to your throat. Like, that's not your doing. This victim blaming shit in your life. No wonder you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the first time I've ever talked about any of this.
Right. And honestly, like, I do feel really privileged that you were willing to sit down.
You should.
I just told you, like, you know what, asshole? Yeah, I do. I feel very privileged that you'd feel comfortable enough to share all this. And I told you, like, hey, if there's anything that you don't want to talk about, like, just give me...
No, let's put it all out there. I feel like it's important at this point in my life to, like, share this shit that I've been through, because not a lot of people know the extent of the things that I've gone through. Like, they're like, oh yeah, like her health is like, meh, it's like kind of bad, but she's fine.
Kind of bad. We haven't even gotten there yet.
I know, but there's like 5 people who know the extent of what you know.
Oh.
So this will be like a very like shocking.
Right. And I think that with most people, they figure that somebody who's gone through even a small percentage of what you've gone through is just going to sit there and be put into a padded room and not be able to function as a human being.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're able to smile through it, well, obviously it wasn't that bad, but that's just your way of coping.
Yeah. I mean, if I can't smile, then what's the point? You know? Like, what's the point in existence if you can't, like, find small portions of joy in all of your shit? Is that weird to say?
No.
Like, it's really true.
Yeah.
Like, small portions of joy in everything are very important. So.
Okay, so why are you only in Seattle for 3 months? Because of the stabbing?
Because I woke up on a stranger's floor one morning with like blood running down my face, and I called my mom and I was like, hey, I think I need to get out of here. And she was like, I've been waiting for this phone call. So she like flew me home to Colorado. So she flew me to Colorado, and so I've kind of been here off and on since then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all I could handle was 3 months as a crazy person.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You needed someone to tell you. You needed someone to tell you no. You know what? You needed me to yell at you.
Yeah.
You know, people give me shit for being so like stern with people, but usually it's because my heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
But do you think in those moments, if I had been like, yo, you are a mess, you need help, go
That's
home,
what I needed.
would you have listened to me though?
I probably would have been like, he might be right, but also, is my time here really done? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have listened.
And
I think I needed to come to the realization myself. Like, I needed to, I needed to wake up. I needed to wake up on that stranger's floor.
Rock bottom.
Yeah.
They call it rock bottom.
I had to hit my 3-month rock bottom.
But I think it's really, that's why I think like, so in my line of work, I spend a lot of time talking to people that I don't agree with. I spend a lot of time talking because I think those are the people that need to get moved the most. So like in my LGBT advocacy, I'm sitting and I'm talking to people who hate gay people, who hate trans people, who are completely homophobic, who use religion to shame people. Yeah. And those are the people I feel like you really need to move. But the problem is when you have a lot of people, when they have those conversations with people, they're trying to change the way that person thinks instead of just giving them information.
Yeah.
So like me giving you that information would have been more so like, hey, at least it's like somewhere in your mind and you'll access that information later rather than I'm going to change you right in this moment because that's about me. It's not about you. But you came to this realization. Did you have any support system through any of this?
No, so I kind of like disconnected from all of my support. So like my best friend, who I mean is still my best friend to this day. Kelk. My little Kelk. I didn't tell her like everything that I was going through. But she knew that something was wrong. But she knew that even if she like told me I had to leave, I wouldn't listen. Like she knew that I would have to like come to that myself. So she, was my support system in like a very strange, like out of the box way. Like she knew that I would get there, but she knew that she couldn't push me there. So. Okay.
So let's move forward.
Next.
Thank you. You're not grateful for your ex.
Any of them, really.
Well, this next one seems like he was actually like a semi-decent human being.
No, he definitely was. Like he helped me with a lot of things. He like pushed me to like do a lot of things that I wouldn't have done.
Well, let's get into it. So at this point, you start talking to your then boyfriend about what happened with your stepbrother when you were a teenager and when you were 21.
Yes. So I'm telling him the story, and then somehow I find out, and it was after. So I had an emergency surgery 1 month after I met this guy. So like 1 month after I met this guy, I was in the emergency room because I had another 10-centimeter cyst on my right ovary. No big deal.
Let's have a good time.
So I have an emergency surgery, and while I'm like in the hospital, my little sister tells me like, oh, by the way, the same thing happened between like Daniel and I.
This is okay. So just to clarify, you're saying that same stepbrother that raped you also raped your little sister.
Yes. And so she tells me this, and I'm like,
did it happen around the same time?
No, it happened like a year before she told me. So it was a very like recent thing. And she's like, and he had like come on to me before a few times, and I had like just like pushed him away, and she's a lot stronger than I am, like physically, emotionally, mentally. She's like much stronger than I am. So she was like a little more capable of like pushing his advances. And then this last thing happened, and she was at his house with my stepbrother's house. So my little sister was at my stepbrother's house and he lives with his brother, his brother's wife, and my nephew, who was 3 at the time. And so she thinks she's in my sister thinks she's in a very safe environment. Everybody's there. And my brother offers his bed to her. He's like, you've been drinking. Why don't you just stay the night, and like I'll sleep on the couch. You sleep in the bed. She's like, yeah, sounds.
I mean, why would she question that? But did she know? She obviously heard about what happened with you and him.
Oh, she knew.
Did she just not believe it?
No, of course not. She didn't believe it. In fact, she also blamed me for it. So there was a whole bunch of like blame put on me for everything. And so she fell asleep and woke up to him on top of her.
It's just like the same exact thing that happened. Just the same
scenario
between you and him. Yeah,
same scenario. And so she tells me this, and I'm like, hell no. Like, there's no way I'm going to. You can fuck with me all you want, but like, you mess with my little sister, even though I don't really like her at all.
And that's really,
then we have a problem.
And that's really interesting. You're willing to advocate for your sister, but not for yourself.
Myself.
Well, I feel like you tried.
I tried, and I was like shut down massively.
Right. And do you feel like now you still don't advocate for yourself because you still feel like nobody will listen?
I more so advocate for myself, but I don't do it enough.
Yeah.
Like I still need to like work on it, but I definitely do it more than I once was doing it.
So this boyfriend pushes you to file a lawsuit against your stepfather. No,
my
your stepbrother.
Yeah. So
for the rape for both you and your sister. And your sister's on board for this lawsuit or no?
She at first was like, yeah, do whatever you want. And then as soon as I was like, hey, I need you to come down to the detective's office and like speak your piece, then she was like, nope, I can't do it. Won't do it.
Look, I honestly like don't blame anybody.
I don't really
because
either.
Like you have, as someone who has had to go file a police report, even though they didn't care, having to relive that stuff is not fun.
Yeah, no, it's not fun at all.
That's why a lot of people don't come forward.
No, it's not fun at all. And I, when they interviewed me, they were asking me things about from when I was 15, and because I was a minor and he was an adult, there's like a whole nother thing happening in California right now where like the lawsuit is still like open.
So there's no, because you were a minor and he was an adult, there's no statute of limitations for that case.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're still like working, and by working on it, I mean they've like probably put it on a pile of like paper on their desk.
Yeah.
Like they're probably not really even thinking about it, but I did it. And so, but she wouldn't come forward. She wouldn't say anything. And at that point, the Denver situation kind of became more of a he said, she said, and there was nothing really that they could do. So.
So that, I mean,
that's the end of that.
That had to have been frustrating.
I mean, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. Like, how could you not, like, believe me? Like, I don't know. It's just, like, I've been through so much shit, and I was so upset that nobody believed me.
Right.
Like, that's the most upsetting thing to me, is that nobody listened. Like, nobody cared enough to be like, I've got your back.
Right.
You know?
I've got your back. I'm a little late.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I'm a little late, but...
Yeah. You're a little late to the game, but it's fine.
I tried. Hey. I tried. You ignored me. Okay, so before we move to the next thing, so we know about Cruise Guy. Mm-hmm. We know about your stepbrother. Mm-hmm. We know about... Was that the only two we talked about?
I think so. Oh yeah, I was raped 3 times in between then.
Yeah, so you have been
I've been roofied 4 times, and I've been raped by 5 different people.
Like,
yeah.
Now I'm trying to be careful about the way that I say this, because I don't want to make it seem like it's your fault that this happened. But like, I've never heard of anyone
being raped
by 5 different people. Do you think are there things in your behavior?
Yes, 100%.
That like make you more susceptible to that? Like,
yes, I am a very flirtatious person. Mm-hmm. I am incredibly flirty, and like, I will talk to anybody. And a lot of times people, they're like, oh, because she's talking to this person, she's flirty. So it's like, maybe I'm not flirtatious, but I'm talkative. And like, I'll say hi to anyone, I'll talk to anyone, I'll like engage in conversation with anybody.
But like that doesn't, like, I'm flirtatious. I'll talk to most people.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm going to get raped 5 times.
That's true.
Or by 5 people.
True. Very true. But I think that kind of like opened this like weird door to like rape Narnia, where like people think that I'm going to go to bed with them, and if I don't, then they feel the need to like, I don't know, put a roofie in my drink and, you know, finish the job. Does that sound bad? I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's just like it's a
lot. It's a lot of times.
It's unheard of to me, and I've talked to people about this stuff all the time. So like, say, what would you do differently now to avoid any of these?
I would wear a chastity belt.
Would they have daggers on your chastity belt?
I would, like, I don't know, grow teeth in my vagina that could like clamp down on dicks. I don't know.
Ew.
I know, it's weird. Sorry.
I mean, no, they deserve it.
No, I mean, I think that if I knew what I was getting into, I would have behaved differently.
How would you know? Like, you don't have ESP. Like, you don't, like, how would you know? Oh, this guy's gonna rape me.
I know,
this
and
guy's
that's the
gonna
thing
roofie
is,
me.
like, I never really had to think about it, whereas now I think about it all the time. Like, if I'm out in a bar, I either have my hand over my cup the whole time, or, like, if I have left my cup somewhere, I'll just get a new drink. Like, so,
that's
like,
smart.
So there's, like, things that I do now where I'm like, okay, somebody could have put something in my drink. Somebody could have da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Like, now I'm, like, a little bit smarter about the company that I keep and, like, what I do with my beverages, whether it's water or alcohol or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And the thing is like, people who do that, like, they go to the bar prepared. You have to come with, I don't even know what a roofie looks like.
I don't either. All I know is what it feels like.
Like, yeah, like these men went there with the intention of doing it.
Yeah.
They had to have the pill.
Yeah.
In order to do that.
And that's the thing is they were all so the 3 were at parties. So they were all at like house parties of people that I thought I knew and trusted, and
right.
Guess not.
You still seem pretty trusting though. Or am I just like, or is it just I seem like a decent human being?
No, you're like a mediocre person. So
yes,
like,
dude,
I feel like
I have been aspiring to become mediocre one day.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you for confirming
you
that for me.
finally made it. No, I mean, and I told you this before, for some reason, like, I just trust you. Like, I feel like I've known you for so long. I don't know. You just seem like a good person.
I'm not.
I kind of figured.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
I mean, as okay as it gonna be?
It's gonna be great.
Okay. So, whew.
Next question.
So, 10 months ago.
Yeah, 10 months ago.
You got even more amazing news.
Yeah, so 12 months ago, I got a hysterectomy. Well, 13 months ago, I got a hysterectomy. 10 months ago, I was diagnosed with bladder cancer.
Okay.
Wah, wah, wah.
So, like, okay.
Which is unheard of in a 29-year-old human specimen.
Right.
Yeah.
You go through rape with multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
You have polycystic ovaries, endometriosis, that other thing I'm never going to be able to pronounce.
Interstitial cystitis.
That one.
I have the hysterectomy.
You have a hysterectomy.
Yeah. And then
this.
Yeah, and then
At what point are you just like, at any point when you were going through this, were you just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
is
at every
going on?
point. At every stage that I get like some sort of like weird diagnosis or some sort of weird news or something like awful happens to me, I'm like, is it ever going to end? Honestly, is it ever going to end? Or am I going to have to end it? Like, what's the deal here?
A lot of people
like,
would check out.
Yeah.
After a few of those things.
So it's like, once I was diagnosed with cancer, which my family still doesn't know. So I like did the whole chemo
Wait, okay,
thing.
hold on. No. Your family doesn't know that.
Yeah, they have no idea I had cancer. No idea. So I had superficial bladder cancer, which means that I had a tumor that was cancerous inside my bladder, but it wasn't invasive.
And it thought that you were like, it was just after you for your looks.
Yeah.
Superficial.
Mm-hmm. So superficial. Mm-hmm. So
Okay, I'm done.
So they like go in, they remove it, and then we like start this like chemo treatment, which is bladder installations where they, pump chemo inside your bladder. And that's why I have to pee all the time.
Okay, now we finally got to the point where we talk about why
the peeing all
you
the
pee
time.
all the time. Okay, so for those of us who have never been through chemo, which is hopefully most people,
yeah, I hope so. Shit.
What does chemo feel like? What is chemo exactly, and what does it feel like?
So my chemo is very different from like the like standard run of the mill chemo that like most people go through, where there's like a port and they do the chemo through the IV. My chemo is where they literally go in through your urethra and like put like a chemotherapy medication inside your bladder, so it doesn't affect like your bloodstream. It doesn't affect like hair loss. It doesn't affect anything like that. And I joke about the chemo diet when really I was just not hungry.
Yeah. Does it burn? Like,
so they originally did it with lidocaine, which should like numb your bladder.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me.
Why didn't it work for you?
Because it made my tongue swell up, and so I'm probably allergic to lidocaine. So, yeah. No, it's crazy. It's so bizarre. But so my chemo is very different from everybody else's chemo. And by everybody else's, I mean like the chemo that they do through the port or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't lose my hair. I wasn't like sick all the time. Like it was painful and I hated it and I hated every minute of it. But it's like I would go in and I would sit in the chair and they would call my name and I would go into a room.
Yeah, there you go. She's starting to understand this whole microphone situation.
And I would go into a room and they would be like, okay, put your legs in these stirrups and we're just going to like put this in your urethra and then you'll sit here for 15 minutes and then we send you home. And that's...
How often would you do?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah, so I did it once a week for 10 months. 9 months. 10 months.
And at this time, you're dating someone while this is going on, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was a doctor.
Yeah.
So that's good, right? Because you're dating someone who understands what you're going
Yeah,
through.
you would think that until I became too much for him to handle.
You're a doctor.
Yeah,
it's literally your job to handle this sort of thing.
Yeah, and so I became like emotionally too much for him to like process on a daily basis. Which, here's the thing, he was like finishing his fellowship, he was like a single dad, he was dealing with baby mama drama, he was, doing all these things. And I come along and I'm like, hey, my brother raped me and I have cancer and I have all these things that are not curable. Winner, winner.
Oh my Lord.
So I can understand how that would be a lot for somebody to take on. However, there was a public service announcement beforehand. Before we even were serious, I was like, hey, PSA, I have all this shit going on. He was like, I got this. So I trusted him, and I thought that he was gonna help me through all of it, and he didn't. No, he didn't. He did push me to seek different treatments and seek help mentally, and seek help through the police department and stuff like that. But other than that, it was he was totally checked out as a boyfriend.
Right.
So
what happened? What you ended things with him probably about 3 months before we reconnected.
Yeah.
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 And we met up for lunch, and then lunch turned into just an all day affair.
Yeah.
And the next day was the last day of your chemotherapy, which is really exciting.
Which is so exciting, and I was really excited. And
then, you kept telling me that how excited you were.
I was so pumped. And so I did my last round of chemotherapy, and then I went to my favorite store, and I bought the cutest outfit ever, and I wrote 4 suicide notes. And
this is help me understand, because we hung out and I
had a great time.
You had a great time. You were smiling. You were like, oh my God, chemo is over after today. So at what point in all of that does suicide creep up?
I think suicide was kind of always in the back of my mind. It was always something where it's I don't know if I can continue living in this amount of pain. I'm still in chronic pain, regardless of cancer or regardless of being emotionally as stable as an IKEA table. Regardless of all of that, I will have chronic pain forever. Is kind of the diagnosis that I've been dealt.
And you are on some serious pain meds.
I'm on horse tranquilizers.
That's ketamine, yes?
Yep. I'm on ketamine, Valium, and morphine all at the same time, 3 times a day in a suppository.
How is it existing with not with all those drugs in your system? Does it just become your new reality?
Yeah, it's kind of my new
do you feel
I don't feel anything. Is the thing. It's
so it actually just kind of stabilizes your life because your pain's that extreme.
Yeah. So I know it's great. It's so crazy. It's so bizarre. So yeah, at that point I was because they were oh, chemo's over. Congratulations, you made it. And then I had a phone call with my doctor, and she was it's going to be about 2 years before you can have a job, before you'll be able to feel semi-normal again. And at that point I was I don't want to wait 2 years. I can't wait 2 years. And so I was
you've already been through so much.
Yeah. So I was driving home. I stopped at the store. I bought a really cute outfit that cost me $600 fucking dollars. But I mean,
why did you buy a cute outfit?
Because I wanted to be buried in a cute outfit. Is that fucked up? That's so fucked up.
It is. It's fucked up.
It's incredibly fucked up.
Everything that's happened is pretty fucked up.
Yeah. So I buy the outfit. I'm sitting in the car in the parking lot, and I'm writing these notes out. And I'm like, I don't feel well. I'm just going to go to the emergency room one last time and like get a dose of fentanyl, and then they'll like send me home. And so they give me a dose of fentanyl, which they always give me because of I metabolize pain medication so rapidly.
Because you're just constantly on pain medication.
Yeah. And so I tell them what I'm on, and they're like, oh, here's some fentanyl or some Dilaudid or whatever.
Isn't fentanyl like what they put in heroin to make it like so potent that people are dying from it?
I believe that fentanyl is like 100 or like 500 times stronger than heroin. Fuck. Something like that. And it like barely touches me at this point in my life. So it's crazy. Yeah. So they give me a dose of fentanyl, and at that point when you're in the emergency room, they have to ask you like, do you feel like harming yourself or others? And I was like, why would I want to live anymore? Like, look at my life. Like, I'm in chronic pain. Why would I want to exist any longer? And so they put me on an M1 hold, what
is an M1 hold?
It's basically like suicide watch, and you have to go into like a mental facility.
Okay, and, so I've never been in a mental facility.
Oh, it's so great.
What are mental facilities? Like, what happens in those?
So you get checked in, and they like do like a whole body check, and you're not allowed to wear pants that have strings in them. You got to take your shoelaces out of your shoes. Like anything that you can kill yourself with, they like remove completely. Mm-hmm. But our system is so screwed up. They treat you like you're an inmate. Like you're somebody who's committed a crime, who has like committed, like I felt like I was a murderer.
So what are they doing to make you feel that way?
I mean, just the way they like belittle your situation, and they talk to you like you're like dog shit on the bottom of their shoe, and they just the way that they behave, there's no like human decency. Like they don't. And it's not that you're in there because you want somebody to feel bad for you, but you want understanding. Like, you want somebody to be like, I understand, and, like, I'm here for you, and I think we should, like, talk about this or whatever. Mm-hmm. They don't do that. They just, like, keep you from killing yourself for 72 hours by over-medicating you.
Why do you think that is? Is there no compassion in these places? Or?
Oh, there's zero compassion.
But you would think that in a place like this, that compassion would be something that's important?
I mean, you would think that. You would definitely think that. But it wasn't. It wasn't important at all. Like, nobody fucking cared why I was there.
Right.
Like, they could care less. So they just, like, give you a bunch of drugs, and they're like, here's a sedative. Like, let's put you to sleep for 72 hours so that you don't kill yourself, basically.
It almost seems like they just want to, because there's a mandatory hold, they want to get you through that hold so they're not responsible if you kill yourself.
Yeah.
But they don't want to address the actual issue.
Yeah.
So what's the point of these places?
There isn't one. There's no point. Like, I want to open a mental health facility because of this. Like, it's like the most disgusting system I've ever witnessed in my life. Ever. It's so disgusting.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah. Shake it out. Shake it out.
Let's shake it out. Let's high five.
Oh.
Let's have a little drink of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Now y'all know why I wanted to take a nap after
briefly touching on my life.
Yeah, we didn't even get into all this detail when we talked about it. I'm just like, my brain is on fire right now.
No, it's a lot. It's definitely
okay, a lot. So you get done with the hold, and then you go back to the hospital.
So I get done. I am technically discharged from the place because I almost died. Mm-hmm. So they have me so heavily medicated, and I'm like projectile vomiting like every single day. Like, I was so sick the entire time that I was in there, and I was so lethargic, and I was incoherent. Like, my head was like down, and I had to be like pushed in a wheelchair. Like they had me so medicated that I couldn't function as like a human being.
Like, how do they know that you're like doing better or like things
They
are
don't
okay?
care.
Wow.
They don't care.
So are they just there to make money, in your opinion?
Yeah.
That's all they're there.
100%.
They're there to keep their job, and that's it.
Yeah.
So no wonder people don't get better.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the whole system, our whole health system as a whole is not meant to make people better. It's meant to medicate people when they're sick.
Yeah.
Because there's so much money in it. At least that's, we can get conspiracy theory about it, but like, that's what it feels like.
And that's what it felt like, for sure, is they were just there to like keep me alive for 72 hours when in all reality, they over-medicated me to the point, and then they like force-fed me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I will never eat another peanut butter and jelly sandwich again
I'm sorry.
in my life.
I'll eat
which
it for you.
I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but I will never have one again. So I'm like falling asleep, and they're like, you need to eat, because I was down to like 98 pounds, which is very, very skinny.
I would say so, yeah.
And so they were like, you need to eat. So they're like force feeding me this peanut butter jelly sandwich, and I fall asleep with it in my mouth. And they like
Didn't you tell them that you were going to do that?
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to fall asleep. And they were like, okay, whatever. So they like pick me up from my wheelchair that I'm sitting in like the common room, right? And they like carry me and put me in bed. And my roommate at like 6 a.m. is like freaking out, I guess. And she's like, she's gasping for air. She's dying. Her lips are blue. Her fingers are blue. Like there's something wrong. And they're like, okay, we'll be there in a minute. And she's like, no, there's seriously like there's something. She's not breathing. Like you need to like get in here.
I don't like, how is it we'll be there in a minute when someone can't breathe?
I don't really know. I don't know. And so
is it like this? Do you think it's like this at all facilities?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
I think so.
There has to be a compassionate facility.
I mean, there has to be, and I did run into...
There doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But you wish there was.
I did run into like 3 people that worked there that I was like, these are like the good ones. Like, hold on to these people. They're fantastic. So anyways, I aspirated on a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and when they found me, my oxygen level was 14, which I don't know if you know anything about your oxygen level, but if it's below 40, you're in critical condition and you could be brain damaged.
So you were more than half.
Literally dead. I was literally
from a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah. Thanks, PB&J. Thanks, Smuckers. So, I aspirated on a peanut butter jelly sandwich. They had to put me in an ambulance, send me over to an emergency room nearby, and like suction everything out of my like body, basically. I guess I had the whole sandwich like lodged in my throat, and then like it was like in both of my lungs. And so I currently have pneumonia. On top of everything. So I spent 5 days in the ICU, and then they did like a psych eval, and they were like, hey, we're gonna send you back to the clink, basically.
I just think you keep saying clink, and when I hear clink I think jail.
It felt like jail,
but it pretty much feels like jail to you.
So they sent me back to the loony bin, and I was there for like 5 more days, and now here I am.
And you went to the hospital again.
Oh yeah, I passed out yesterday.
Wow.
I passed out. I was eating sushi with like a buddy of mine, and he was staying in a hotel nearby, and I was like, I don't really feel good. Like I kind of feel lightheaded. And he was like, okay, well, just have a seat on the bench. And so I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pass out. Like, I'm definitely gonna pass out. And he's like, well, just sit down, I'll get you some water. And so he like gets up and walks away, and like by the time I come back to, I had like fallen on my face. And was put in an ambulance and rushed to the emergency room.
This was
yesterday. Yeah.
Clark.
Hey, buddy. I know.
He's like, you need some.
For me.
Do you want to hold him?
Yeah.
You can hold him. Good old Clark. good old Clark is here he's like, look,
He feels bad for me.
he's like, you need
Give me
some
all your
snuggles.
sympathy.
Okay, so holy shit, we just unpacked a lot.
That's like almost all my life.
Yeah. So there are people that haven't been through any of the things that you've been through that crumble.
Yeah.
What are the things that you do in order to keep a positive attitude?
I think for me, it's like I like to help people. And so I don't really like share my story, but if I can.
I'll just move it closer to you. I know you got Clark now.
But what I try and do is I try and reach out to the people that I know are struggling, that like are very clearly crying for help. So I like reach out to them and I like try and help others. But I was told in therapy that I should probably work on myself instead of like trying to fix everyone else.
That's true. I feel like I've done this too, where like you spend so much time focusing on other people that you allow yourself to deteriorate in the process.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the term love from your cup?
No.
So this is a concept that I'm trying to apply to myself. Because I haven't gone through any of the things that you've gone through. Well, some, but not to the same degree. And basically, the concept.
Oh my God, you don't have a uterus either?
I don't.
What?
Actually, so we have a few things in common. I also don't have a uterus.
That's weird.
So basically, the concept of love from your saucer. Do you know what a saucer is? Mm-hmm. It's a little plate that goes onto your like coffee mug or tea mug.
I said yes.
I know, but maybe someone else doesn't. Okay, this isn't all about you. Get over yourself.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Anyway, so basically, loving from your excess.
Yeah.
Love from the stuff that spills over your cup, so that you don't drain yourself in the process.
Yeah.
I think people think focusing on yourself is bad, is selfish and bad, and it might be selfish, but if you make sure that your cup is always full, you can then be the best for other people.
Yeah.
You know, you can be of service to other people and at your strongest. It's kind of like when you're on a plane and
your oxygen mask first.
Right. The reason you put your oxygen mask on first instead of assisting others is because maybe in the process of assisting someone who can't help themselves, you run out of oxygen. Yeah. And then you can't help them. They can't help them. You could have helped so many other people if you had taken care of yourself first. Yeah. So what are you doing to take care of yourself? Like at this point in time?
I literally just got out of like the mental facility, but I am going to a yoga retreat.
That's exciting.
Yes. So I leave on Thursday.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Pennsylvania. It's called the Himalayan Institute.
Is that how they said it when they pitched you on it?
Like, pretty much just like that. Like, welcome to the Himalayan Institute. And I was like, awesome, thanks. I love it. Yeah. So I'm doing that. And then, I mean, for me, it's just like I have to just learn how to focus on myself. And I don't really know how to do that. So I'm kind of hoping that this yoga retreat helps me a little bit.
So, I mean, do you want me to give you some suggestions?
Yeah, you got some?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think too often and that's why I have listen right here, is like too often people are so anxious to give advice to people who didn't ask for it. Yeah. You know? So I can tell you the things that I've been doing. It's just like I made a list of the things that make me happy. And I talked to you a little bit earlier about this because I got sent this yesterday. Because we always talk about, loving yourself. So what was sent to me was, your purpose in life is not to love yourself, but to love being yourself. If your goal is to love yourself, then your focus is inward, directed towards yourself, and you end up constantly watching yourself from the outside, disconnected, trying to summon the correct feelings towards yourself or fashion yourself into something you can approve of. If your goal is to love being yourself, then your focus is directed outwards towards life, on living and making decisions based on what brings you pleasure and fulfillment. Be the subject, not the object. It doesn't matter what you think of yourself. You are experiencing life. Life is not experiencing you.
Yeah.
So after I read this, like it really hit home. And I remember when I told you, like it seemed to sink in for you too.
Super resonated with me. Yeah.
So instead of being like, how can I figure out how to love myself more? Because people are going to tell you to do that till they're blue in the face. And frankly, I tell myself all the time, learn to love yourself. What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
So what I started to do was I started to make a list of the things that truly make me happy when I do it. Because I spent so much time trying to figure out how to love myself. And it was just like, I feel like I was going in circles, and like it was still the ups and the downs. So like example is this past weekend, I went to San Antonio, Texas, and I worked with Teleton, and I helped raise money for a children's hospital that does rehabilitation for children with neurological or physical ailments that cause them not to be able to move or think properly. And I wasn't sad for 2 seconds. The whole time, because I knew what my purpose was.
Right.
Do you know what your purpose is?
No.
And that's okay. That's totally
I have no idea.
That's totally a fair answer. But I bet you if you took time and like sat down and thought about it, you could come up, like, you have such a good heart and you have such a good sense of humor, and your story, while fucking heartbreaking, can show people that you can go through these things and overcome it.
Yeah.
So instead of purpose, what are things that make you happy?
Kids.
Kids make you happy?
Kids. They make me so happy. Like, my nephew is like the greatest human in existence to me. So like anything that I do with him makes me the happiest. So I had volunteered before I threatened suicide. I had volunteered to like work at his school and like read to them and stuff like that, and I was genuinely excited about that. So like little things like that really make me happy.
Can you not do that anymore now that...
So the problem is by like doctor's orders, I'm not technically allowed to be on my feet for more than 30 minutes at a time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, we walked today. When we walked...
Remember when I told you, it's a half a mile away? That sounds...
Do you know how long it takes
shitty.
to walk a half mile?
I don't know.
10 minutes.
I know.
Okay, so...
But that's still like...
Well, okay. You need to give me like a little bit more detail so I know what's going on.
I know, and that's the thing is like I'm not good at that. Like I'm not good at like...
I think that is something that you could focus on, is not being afraid to tell people like, hey... This is what's going on with me. What you're doing right here is a huge step towards that. Like, you're speaking your truth. And I think the more you speak your truth, one, the more you're going to sort it out in your own mind. Yeah. But two, the more you're going to help other people. And you're going to release yourself of some of the demons that you have surrounding you all the time. Because you have, like... The fact that you're standing is amazing. You're going to laugh through it. I know you are. I know your personality. You're the type of person that is going to just joke through things. Yeah. But I want you to really like take a second and acknowledge yourself for the fact that you're still alive. Yeah. Because you have been through so many things that most people would have crumbled. Do you understand how strong you are? No. I'm telling you. Like, I'm telling that you are.
But I don't feel strong. Like, I don't feel like my story is like this like crazy thing.
How do you not feel?
Because it's just my life. Right. Like, it's just...
Do you talk to other people?
Hell no.
I think that's probably what you need. You need perspective. I think if you spoke your... maybe a step for you could be speaking to other victims. Yeah. People who have gone through what you've gone through, because you can learn from each other, but you can also inspire each other. Yeah. They need someone like you. They need someone who went through all that and did not crumble.
But I almost crumbled.
But you didn't. You're still here smiling, laughing, having this conversation. Yeah. I'm not going to make you acknowledge yourself because I know it makes you uncomfortable, but I want you to I want you to think about it. Yeah. That's why I have you on here, not to make people sad.
Yeah.
Oh, look what she went through. Oh, poor her.
Pity me.
Right. No, you don't even want that.
Come to my pity party.
But like, you know that, like, you have to know that, like, how strong you are for still being here. Just go, okay. Mm-hmm. There you go. You know, and so I think maybe you just speaking on your experience and helping others through theirs. Is that something you think, like,
I would love to do that.
Okay.
I would love to, like, talk to other people who've, like, been through, like, a small portion of the shit that I've been through.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to do that.
So
I think I have a lot of perspective.
I would say so.
I think I have a little bit to speak on there.
I guarantee you, the second I look at chat, people are going to be like, "You're an inspiration to me." Roll your eyes all you want. Deflect all you want. We're going to love the shit out of you regardless, because that's what we do here. You know? And I think you need that. You need that support system. We got you. I got you. Do you believe me? Mm-hmm. There you go. That's the first step.
Should I say yes?
Yes. Yes. ASMR, yes. ASMR. So maybe that's something that you could look into, is how can I tell my story?
Yeah.
And how can I speak to other people who have gone through what I've been through, and it, like, because some people feel like it's never gonna end, and that they can't live a life of fulfillment.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna go on that retreat. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be so much fun.
I'm gonna be so zen when I come back.
So zen.
I'm gonna harness all my chi.
Oh my God. Sounds personal. What else makes you happy? You enjoy yoga.
What's so weird is it's like I don't really even know what makes me happy.
That's your journey.
Like I have no idea.
So if I were to make a suggestion, just write it down. Just sit and write it down.
Yeah.
The actual, not in your phone. Something about the...
Oh, no, I don't, like...
Yeah. Mm-mm. Something about the physical act of writing things down.
Yeah.
It makes you consume that in more than one way. You have to think about it, and then you actually physically write it, and then you read it, and you process that information in multiple ways. And I found that has helped me in so many ways. So I think that could be a good step for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something you'd be down to do?
Yeah, I could totally do that.
Because I know there's several people
I can't right now because my oxygen levels are still super low, so my handwriting is...
excuse me while I feel so sorry for you.
I don't know if you saw my bracelets, but
I have low
fainted.
oxygen levels and pneumonia. I can't handle my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You know what? More for me. Okay? More for me. I am going to need a nap after that one, but I would love to have her back on to kind of do an update. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know. If you enjoyed this, make sure you rate it on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Play. That's one way to help it grow, as well as share it on your social media. And if you tag me, I will retweet you or post you to my story. The only way that this grows is with your help. Also, patreon.com/unfilteredfriends help support, as well as if you want to watch live, twitch.tv/sup daily. I will see you guys all on the next episode of Unfiltered Friends.